As a country, and particularly those of us of European descent, we have lied to ourselves about how we got here. And for what reason? See, black folks know why they're here. Native peoples know why they're here and how they got here. A lot of Asian folk know, particularly if they're Chinese American, they know they got here because their ancestors were brought over to work on the railroads by the railroad barons who didn't care if thousands of them died laying track 19, 20 hours a day.
Prof said, did you hear what he said about the Europeans that came into America, that they came for survival, that every race know why they came? The black knows why they came, the brown know why they came, the Asian American, they know why they came, that it is only the European that came into America with lie and deception, which is the right narrative that, oh, they came to fight for democracy, they came for democracy. He said it's a lie. They came to America just like the brown people, Asian American, that came for survival. He said everybody, obviously, the reason why the blacks came, they came because they were forcefully taken. He said everybody came because they came for one purpose or the other, but the Europeans didn't know the reason why they came. Credits are given to our content in this video. I want us to go watch this video more and let the conversation begin after we've watched. Thank you. I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. It is about to get interesting.
Again, it's not your fault that you don't know the history, but it is our responsibility to learn it and then apply it to what we see. Same is true with immigration. This immigration drama that we have right now is only possible because we don't understand our own history. As a country, and particularly those of us of European descent, we have lied to ourselves about how we got here. And for what reason? See, black folks know why they're here. Native peoples know why they're here and how they got here. A lot of Asian folk know, particularly if they're Chinese American, they know they got here because their ancestors were brought over to work on the railroads by the railroad barons who didn't care if thousands of them died laying track 19, 20 hours a day. But for those of us who are from Europe, we have this fiction that we've told, and we believe it, even though there's no truth to it. You know what the fiction is? It's two parts. Number one, we say things like, with regard to Mexicans coming over the border, with regard to immigrants coming up, but only that border. That's the only one we care about, right? The southern border. I find that interesting. We're not flipping out about Canada, right? We don't have any of the Minutemen or the anti-immigrant groups sitting off the coast of Nova Scotia with a gun and a scope trying to like pick off the sneaky Canadians that are trying to sneak in here for our superior healthcare system. Which after all would be a pretty stupid thing to do. But in any event, we only care about that one border, forgetting for a minute that that border was created at the end of a war that was started on false pretense by this country, after which we jacked half of their country. And you weren't taught that in school either, because our history books aren't interested in telling the truth. They tell this very patriotic history that has no relationship to the fact. So that border is artificial. Mexican folk who are coming here, documented or not, let's be clear, are coming home. Their families were here before our families were here in almost every instance. But we forget that, and then we say things like, well, I don't mind them coming. I just want them to come legally like my people did. The hell does that even mean? Come legally? There was no law to break when our people came. The fact that we didn't break a law that didn't even exist, you don't get cookies for that. You don't get like a pat on the back and a gold star because your great whatever was law abiding when there was no law that he could have violated even if he wanted to. But we've told this lie that we came for these upstanding principles. So we'll say things like, well, you know, our people came for liberty and freedom, democracy. These people are just coming for stuff. They're just coming for jobs. They're just coming for health care. They're just coming for stuff. We came for high-minded principle, right? Because we believe that. What kind of third-grade version of American history is that? Right? Like when Donald Trump says, well, Mexico's not sending their best. What the hell, you think Europe sent their best? Europe? No, our people were the losers of Europe. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just telling you the truth. Like, our people were the losers of Europe. The winners didn't get on the boat. You understand what I'm saying? The winners didn't leave. Why the hell would you leave if you were winning? Only the losers left because they had no choice. They were dying. They were starving. They couldn't support their families. A lot of them were convicts who were sold into indentured servitude to work for rich European people. They were barely above the level of a slave themselves. The idea that we had these we didn't believe in liberty and freedom. And we know that because once we got to the colonies, we set up the opposite of liberty and freedom. And I don't just mean that for like black folks and native folks. I mean, even for other white folks. Like, we spent most of the time in the early colonies trying to figure out who the witch was, right? It was like, well, you're not a Christian. Well, no, you're not a Christian. Well, no, you're not a Christian. I'm going to hang you from a tree. Really? Well, I'm going to drown you in the stream. Well, I'm going to set you on fire. Like, that wasn't liberty. The colonies were some of the least free places in the history of the cosmos. But we act like we came for liberty, and they're just here to take advantage. Let's be clear. Our people didn't come for liberty. They came for stuff. They came for stuff like land. They came for stuff like opportunity. They came for stuff like the ability to feed their families. And there's no shame in that. None at all. But just like there's no shame in our families having done that, there's no shame in brown families doing that and coming over that border from Mexico, Central America, or wherever else they might be coming. There's no shame in any event, but we've told a lie. It's like we have this image in our head that sometime in like 1650, this was a common scene in England. All the nice white noblemen got together, and one of them gathered his children around the fireplace in the middle of the 1600s and said, well, now, children, I think you'll agree with me that we're doing quite brilliant here, and we have this big mansion, and we have all this gold, and you remember last week when the king invited us to the palace, and you played out in the garden with his children. I know, it was brilliant, right? It was great, it was great, it was great. I bet it was lots of fun, but Daddy thinks that we need to stop all that nonsense and maybe strike out on an adventure. So here's my plan. Even though we're doing so well, even though we pretty much run the show here in England, I think that what we should do this summer, follow me, stick with me, I know it's going to be a stretch, but I promise it's going to be great, is we should get on a big boat. A rickety old ship. I don't even know if it's seaworthy, children. It might sink. We might be eaten by sharks. We might get hijacked by pirates. We might get scurvy and die a horrible death. However, I think you will agree it will be an adventure, a great one indeed. That did not happen. Noblemen didn't leave. Those who were doing well did not leave. Only the losers got on the boat. People say things like, well, my family came over on the Mayflower. Okay, sweetheart, you might not want to talk about that. If you actually knew who was on those early ships, I'm not sure who was, but I know who wasn't. The king. The king was not on that ship. Nobody the king really wanted to keep around was on that ship, right? So our inability to see this, though, understand the importance historically. If we don't understand that we came for the same reasons that folks come today, be they documented or not, then we can't see them in us, and we can't see us in them. And that's why we have this drama, because we're spending all this time pretending that our motivations and our even human decency and ethics are different when they're not, you see. This is why history matters so much. We can't fix any of these problems, whether it's immigration issues, whether it's criminal justice issues, whether it's wealth disparity, all of that. We can't do anything about that if we're not willing to understand history.
Wow. The professor was eating the truth hardly as possible, without mincing word, without trying to make them feel good. The palm-colored people got what they deserve from this professor because, his name is Tim Wise, is a professor and is anti-racist. It goes against what is obtainable now. Whiteness is greater. Whiteness is better. Black is inferior. And is an activist. It goes against the norm, the lies, the narrative that has been told for many years. He said the people that, especially the Europeans that came from Europe, are losers. Can you believe that? He said, you cannot be a winner in your country and you live where you are. You live the comfort. You live the euphoria of great things that you've achieved. And you leave that to come to America to come and work, to come and do many a job. I'm breaking it down for you guys to understand. He said, if you are a winner in your country, you won't leave all of that and come to America just to come and do any job. He said, Europe didn't also release their best, because he said Trump was saying that Mexico didn't release their best, so they have to deport them and all. He said Europe did not release their best because if they were the best, they wouldn't have come. He said the king won't release his men. The king won't come. The king will not release the men that are not useful to him. He said that's the case also with Europe. That the rhetoric is that, we need to let the black and brown go. They are not efficient. They are not this. And I said it's a lie. And guys, this is just the truth. This is nothing but the truth. He said Europe also came with the worst people that are looking for survival. They're looking for how to feed their family. They're looking for how to just make an ends meet and make their life better. That if things were better for them in Europe, they wouldn't have come down to America. That these rhetorics that they've come to take our Medicaid, they've come to take benefits, that it has to stop, because everybody that actually came to America Well, I said excluding black because blacks were forced to come down. They took them forcefully for their own intention, for a lot of reasons. But this is not the video. This is not the time. They knew who the blacks were, and they're trying to break them to lose their identity. And of course, to an extent, they achieved that. But that's not what I'm talking about now. Most of the people that came to America, they came for survival. They came to make ends meet. And that's what this prophet was saying. And that is the truth. Nothing but the truth. That is the reason why they came. They came to survive. They came to look for a better life. And that is it. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for staying tuned. I want the conversation to begin at the comment section. Let me know your view, your perception, your view at the comment section, because this truth has to be spread. Please spread it. Let everybody hear about it. And credits are given once again to Tim Wise for this profound truth that has been shared. Until I come your way again, stay in peace, stay in love, and avoid trouble. Bye-bye.